Morning. Welcome to Weirdly Unique. I'm Jennifer Linsky. Today's topic, because it is top of mind at the moment, is spiraling. We, I think, talk about this in a loose term. And for me, the definition is very simple. It's when your emotions and your brain matter takes over your logical reasoning, and the effect created is incoherent thoughts in which you keep thinking about the situations and you can change it to get it to make you feel better. It basically is whenever your brain derails you from the tasks of the day and make it difficult to proceed with the day as you had planned. My God, I think that I was in a perpetual spiral for most of my life. I would say probably the first 35 years. Currently, I try not to be in that spiral quite frequently because it creates an anxiety and feeling that I realize is a negative thing for me. Sorry, glasses on, glasses off. It's a negative thing for me these days, not a positive. I think I used to use that survival mechanism of being in an excited state all the time to an advantage, I think. But what I learned is it really wasn't an advantage. It really was not nurturing people the way I thought I was. I might have been keeping people safe or keeping them on their mission or even trying to make them happy, but at the cost of not my saying my happiness, but at a cost of not realizing the cost of what that did to my emotions over time. Ironically, what's bothering me these days is not about actual external factors. It's the internal self-care construct that we were just talking about yesterday. The more I try to help myself out of my own way, the more the brain has naysaying. And ironically, I don't know how Calm sets up their apps, but I don't know if it's based on moons or how they do that. I would say that whenever they talk about a topic like today was work life stresses, and Jay Shetty's was about taking a compliment. I think that I wonder if those resonate. I don't know if you've done this in your life, and I think the story is pertaining where you could hear someone and you call them and they were thinking about you too, or you're feeling off, but you don't know why, and then you call a friend and they're like, oh my God, I've had a really crappy week as well. Back to the whole idea that we're all mammals to start and that we share a shared experience in that environment. Fascinates me. Even when I don't want a pattern to pay attention, my baser instinct in the back of my head has a tendency to override even sleep for me. I play video games. We'll talk about that probably in length at some point when I get through what I think is initiating a certain response at the moment, but I haven't figured out. But as for video games go, if you play, I like to play war strategy games. Which they're not really war strategy games anymore because it's pay to play. But when I care, I know the pattern of when people are in line and when they possibly will attack me, or if they're going to attack me, or if there's a joint thing going on and I forgot about it in my frontal cortex or my front brain. The back brain is like, hey, you're supposed to be part of this team. Get on that. And I think that's actually where it comes from. I enjoy being on a team. And I think the spiral these days is a mixture of having a home base of where I feel safe, which is mammal, having a den, having a place. They're constantly finding that, and being a part of a pack that in different ways. So my packs are based on my friends, my family, sometimes work. A lot of my pack is from people I've worked with um, over time, or at least my friend pack, college, or that. And the pack changes. I'm going to refer to a great, incredible person, and I hope I can have her on. But my advisor in high school used to tell me, and I told her a while back that I probably butchered it, her statement, but she told me in high school that you're lucky to have 10 friends. 2 handfuls, she said. And I always thought that was so naive and so wrong. Like, I really had an opinion about the fact that I was like, that seems incredibly naive. We meet so many people in our life. Why would we be lucky to have 2 handfuls? And she said to me when I, like any high schooler or teenager that she's worked with over the years, I challenged her on that feeling. And she said, I'm not saying that you can't have more friends than that. I'm saying that the people that you can possibly keep capacity at as a human in her head, in her mind, is only about 2 handfuls. And I think not only is she right about that, I think that when I try to increase that, my brain gets overwhelmed and I get emotionally exhausted by the people I care about, and not the people, my pack's fault for doing that. It's my own personal factor, because I care. And when I care, I'm all in. And to me, to a fault that causes me to care way more than most people do, probably about the most mundane things, and i.e. a video game, or i.e. one email just, asking me to do something, but I'm just kicking and screaming to do it because I think that they could have done it better and could have set me up for success, not failure. So I fight that because I'm very much a duality. And I think I've said this in my life, most of my life. I knew I've been a duality most of my life. And when it comes to a spiral and what we're talking about, why do we spiral? Why do we need that self-care is exactly what I'm talking about, for myself at least, and then the mental health of it. When it comes down to is the mental health of it is I feel like I'm a duality. A lot of times I feel very much that I could succeed in New York City, make 6 figures, be very aggressive, and use that alpha dominance I have on that side to an advantage into a career. When I did that, however, my mental health suffered because my anxiety is like a dog that isn't asked to relax in a household, and they're at full-fledged turned on all the time, and they can't relax, and that's why they have pent-up energy and they bite things or whatever that dog has as a problem. My duality is this: I want to live in a city, and I also want to live in the words off on a grid. However, I'm a marketing manager, so I need the internet, so off the grid doesn't make much sense. Many people make fun of me, but I would love to barter my services for the rest of my life and never have to worry about money, but that's just not the reality that we're in these days. So I put like a lot of, I think the spiral in my head is playing on that duality. I am outgoing, but I'm not. I'm logical, but I'm emotional. I'm a hopeless romantic, but I'm a commitment phobic. I am incredibly blunt and open and extremely hurt only when, a stranger hurts me, not the person who's doing that. There's a lot of dualities that I go against. Lots, actually. In my lifetime, I think there's going to be way more. So that spiral has to do with your inner voice and your inner being. And I think the topic this week for me has been inner being, because I'm having a hard time with it this week. It's the ebbs and flows of it. Some days I don't want to answer my phone. Some days I use the phone as a vice. I'm a 90s girl. Calling someone and feeling good about talking to them is a huge part of who I am. And sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes, just like anything, I can use it in a way that isn't safe. I have lots of tricks to mental health and spiraling, so I'll share a whole bunch. My frustration this day is that none of my tricks seem to be working. Um, so some of my tricks to trade on mental health, on knocking yourself out of the spiral. Number one, have someone who knows how to airbag you. Um, I learned from many other people that having someone who can knock your crazy into place or say to you, again, stop, just stop. Like, and not say it in a way that makes them feel like they're empowering over you, but they're trying to sincerely say to you, you're hurting yourself. It's just like snapping a dog into calm submissive. Being able to touch that person and knocking them out of that is extremely important in my mind. Secondly, I try lots of things. Follow a passion, do something that you love. Cooking for me is one of them. If I don't cook, or oh my God, dehydration, we'll do a whole segment on dehydration, but making sure you're hydrated and fed is usually one of the things that for me falls off. And if I don't control that, then the emotions become a lot more. I have a pre-existing condition that causes me to be in pain that creates an anxiety response most days. I do not like to take pharmaceutical medicine anymore. So I use alternative remedies. But even with that, I can wake up and if I don't take an Aleve or something to leave that, ache, because what I have is basically like you would call flu aches most days. Today it's raining, and I think that doesn't make me any easier. The day before it rains and the day that it rains sometimes can be really hard for me to push past the pain, to get past the anxiety, to get to my said results of the day. And even earlier in the week, I cleaned my floor, I did all my laundry. I did a task-based list, but I was more upset that I didn't do billable information. And because I'm a marketing consultant, a lot of my stuff is billable and hourly based, and having faith in actually you can create your own lead list. And I'll be honest, I'm a marketing manager and I can create anyone's lead list, but doing it for myself, and I'll say that out loud, is a self-care mechanism that not only feels hard for me, it feels like I'm complimenting myself, or I don't know, boasting about myself, and I am confident in what I do, but there's something about that. It's not fake, but I know all the fake ways to do it. So I think I fight with, do I do it? Do I allow myself to do it? Why don't I do it? Why don't I take my own advice? Last conversation. But what I'm finding is that there's a human balance to mental health stuff. So exercise, food and water, hands down. 3 things if I'm falling off the crazy train. If I don't start there, we're not getting anywhere. I laughed at a reel the other day of a lady saying her mental health was crazy, and she went out for a run and realized her physical health was worse. And the truth to that is actually way more astounding than I think most of us think. I don't think that we don't realize that a connection with nature is incredibly important for us. I feed sparrows every morning just because I like the sound of the chirp. Things that actually have created a spiral for me in other areas that I've lived. I'm currently in Montreal, but I have lived everywhere. New York, Denver, Chicago, New Orleans, Costa Rica, North Carolina, Virginia, Connecticut, Portland, Maine, many, many places. And I've traveled even more in the United States for work and otherwise. New Orleans was one of my hardest because of exactly what we're talking about with the birds. I didn't realize until, I'm sorry, my God, hair, it's driving me crazy. I didn't realize until almost a couple months into that visit, or staying down in New Orleans, in an incredible neighborhood and warehouse district. I absolutely adore New Orleans and think it's a place that I have no problem visiting. I just don't think long-term it's fitting for who I am. First and foremost, it's hot. I'm not a huge fan. That's why I'm in Canada and still see snow. But second, and it's humid, and that causes a pain constraint for me. But the thing that actually created the spiral worse was not the pain, was not the weather. It was really that they've gone through a lot of death and hurricanes there. And you don't hear birds except for crows. So it seems like you're listening to ravens and crows squawk every morning. And what I realized is that between the amount of hurricanes they've had and devastation as a city that they've sustained, similar to, New York being loud and proud, they have a lot of feral cats and animals. So the amount of birds has declined in their area. And I grew up in a very wooded, near the Appalachian Trail and the mountains in Connecticut. And I didn't realize the sound that birds make give me a sort of peace every morning to hear them and know the morning is waking up and that's the sound I hear. I didn't realize that mattered to me. I'm a mammal. Oh my God, animals are extremely important to me, birds otherwise it doesn't matter. But I never thought I had a connection to birds. I felt very like they were, the dinosaur I didn't get. Put me in a room with dogs, wolves, bears. I got that all day long. I feel like I speak that language. Leave me alone. I get the alpha dominance. I get the pack idea. I get why they are the way they are. They transfer energy. Birds do transfer energy too. I learned this as well. And but their flight response is way more in tuned, which makes complete sense because they're small and their chance of survival is different. But I bring up the birds because that was one of my hardest times in New Orleans, and it would make me spiral mentally. I didn't realize that was causing that problem. A funny story that happened in New Orleans, which makes me weirdly unique. I actually was probably wearing this sweatshirt, and let's clarify, it has holes and bleach stains, and it's ripped. I mean, it's bad. So one day it actually snowed when I was there in New Orleans, and so I'm so excited. It was like, it wasn't snowing, but snow flurries, which was really upsetting because I love iguanas, and I had to go out, and I was like going for a walk, and I'm in my flip flops and my sweatshirt because I love cold weather, and I get outside and I'm going on my walk, and poor iguanas are upside down because it's too cold for them, and there's lizards having issues, and no one's used to that in the bayou. It's alligator heaven, it's reptile heaven. So I'm outside and walking around. I'm so excited. It's cold. I feel the air going through my lungs. Listen, I get, and this is not for everyone. Everyone likes the hot weather. I do not. I never have. I don't like bugs. I don't like feeling sweaty. I don't like taking a shower and feeling just as gross as I started. It's just who I am. I have a whole winter blues is not for me kind of blog if you want to read it. I believe it's just what you're used to and what you love, and you shouldn't shame other people for the things they don't like. So I'd rather live in the winter because it's just easier for me, I think. And it's what I moved to. I think because in most of my summers I worked, I didn't enjoy it the same way. So I just don't have the same. I usually hibernate in the summer because I want nothing to do with it. But back to New Orleans. I'm walking around New Orleans downtown, World War II convention building. I live down in the warehouse district, so I'm in between, Bourbon Street and the Garden District. It's a really cute, regentrified area with some of the best restaurants in the area. I'm in an old warehouse mill building, so I'm walking around the downtown, that little area, and I hear this sound, and mind you, I'm very New Yorker in this. I got my earphones on, I'm rocking, I'm a happy camper, I'm walking around very happy. But it's cold out, and I hear this sound, and I turn my head because the energy had changed. And it was like early in the morning, it was like 7 a.m. Like I only went up. I'm like so excited it's cold out. I'm running out the door. And I hear the sound, and I turn my head, and I'm like, it's a cop. So the cop was pulled up next to me, and I'm like, okay, what the hell? So remember what I'm wearing. He thinks I'm homeless. They think I'm homeless. So the guy's like, oh my God, you need socks. It's so cold. And he's like, put both these pairs on. And I'm like, I finally have realized what he's saying to me. Because I'm like, what are you talking about? People, I was living in a very nice condo building. I wear crappy clothes because I don't care how I look. And I love this sweatshirt because it's comfy and I've worn it. And I look at the guy and I said, I am not homeless, sir. Sorry. And second, don't tell two people to put two pairs of socks on. People's feet sweat, therefore the sweat comes out. And when you can't move your toes, you're more likely to have, problems with your extremities because you won't be able to move your feet. And if the blood rushes to your hands or feet and you don't move them, you actually become more cold. Like I said, my feet in the flip-flops allow my toes to actually move in this weather, and it creates an ability, the blood rush down there. They're not as actually cold as you would think. Actually telling two people to put two socks on, i.e. from my many experiences at a ski area, is not a great thing. Tell them to put one sock on. When that one gets wet, you trade it out. And I said, I'm a New Englander. Sorry. I love this weather. I apologize. But FYI, this is what you probably should be advising, because that's actually the more, productive way to keep yourself safe in a cold environment. And the guy just started laughing. And it's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. I said, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying your advice. I'm appreciative that the city of New Orleans cares about homeless people and are trying to actively not have any deaths. I said nothing about the situation. I was like, but I live in that huge condo building over there. It's okay. And so, although that story is funny, it's just sad also for winter climate that they should ever have snow, but there's so many parts of this conversation. It was hilarious. They thought I was homeless based on image, the stereotype of what I was wearing. I was wearing flip-flops with ratty clothes. I didn't smell, I don't think, but it's first thing in the morning. And I think, again, I'm not upset that the humbleness of them really trying to help people that made me happy. It was just the irony that I got pulled over by a cop because I was wearing ratty clothes and looked like a homeless person, especially when I've been at multiple events with, people that are highfalutin. Where did I come up with that word this morning? Well, important people that you have to be more dressed up for. I grew up as a WASP and went to private school. I'm very capable of putting on a pretty dress and looking adequate, but not who I am in real life. And so again, back to the duality of it. I find that we live in a society that asks me to have an image-driven life when really that's the thing that makes me most miserable. And I wonder if that's why most of us spiral, or why we think that we're not good enough. But let's talk about some other tactics of spiraling that might work for you as well. And I'm still working through. I turn off my blue screens. I color. I have a paint by number. I'm really bad at it. I used to play video games. I think that is a little too addictive because of the gaming construct of it, or the gambling construct of it. Sometimes I take a shower to reboot my brain, because sometimes for that, as everyone knows, the best ideas come in the shower. It's a joke, but it's really not. Going for a walk, making sure I'm hydrated, making sure I'm fed, taking a moment to meditate. I meditate midday. Cleaning. I don't know how you grew up. Maybe it's not your forte, but I'll tell you this. I never made my bed as a kid, but making my bed is incredibly important these days. Making sure my dishes are clean. If my dishes are backs up, and I won't lie, I'm not a huge fan of doing dishes. I'd rather have a dishwasher, but I've been living some Airbnbs that don't have them, which is fine. If I don't do them, I'm not paying attention. I'm not eating. It takes 5 minutes when my coffee's being made to do my dishes. Yet, if I hold up on it, I know that I'm not in a great mental state, and cleaning can help. Doing my laundry can help. There are things that are very simple self-care. Changing your sheets, making sure your bed's made, making sure whatever space you're in is clean and tidy and doesn't stress you out. I lived in multiple dorm rooms growing up. I lived with 5 girls in college. My family as a whole are not the best with organization or not having things. I'm a minimalist. Let's talk about the duality of it. I don't really own anything. I maybe own 15 boxes in my whole life. And I live out of 3 bags here. So when my space is not clean, if I see a hairball or my dishes aren't done, or my stove gets gross because when I cook, I make a hot utter mess. Then I know I'm not in a good place. So even though this week, and I'm going to give you practical things, this week I cleaned my whole bathroom. I have a small bathroom. I wiped down all the walls. I did everything I needed to do. My dishes are caught up. I mopped the floor. I've been outside. I did my laundry. I tried to play my video game. I tried to watch some TV and zone out. I tried to talk to friends. I drank 3 Gatorades yesterday. Actually, I'm feeling better today. So I think the momentum of dehydration or water intake is something I'm going to keep up today. I'm going to take some leave to make sure that the pain is not driving the spiral this time, because sometimes I can't disseminate between the anxiety of life versus the anxiety of pain that I get. And those are 2 different sensations I haven't been able to address properly, as to how to assess that. And when I'm in pain, I become a little overwhelmed with emotion and don't always make the best decisions for myself, especially in self-care. I wouldn't. I had a good friend tell me that her concern isn't overeating. So I was like, oh my God, I ate so much last night. And she was like, I know I'm really depressed when I stop eating. And I'll be honest, that was an incredible factor as well when I learned that one. I do like to shower to reboot, but I can use that to a disadvantage as well. So note that sometimes even the things that help us break us from the spiral also can be used in a detrimental way. When I was extremely anxious at one point in my life, I was taking anywhere from, 3 to 10 showers a day, because that was the only place that warm feeling made me feel okay. I do like to shower just to get rid of the pain I have, because when you're in pain, you pull forward like a kid. But you have to use anything you're using as a way to get out of a spiral, or in general life. Let's just say this in that way. Not too far one way or the other. I have an addictive personality in general. I'm a Scorpio. And I'm very aware of how I can get stuck in that loop. Or get myself stuck in a loop. And so I really do try in many senses to not take anything to the extreme. I try it. If that doesn't work, I move to another option. I do, and this is the other thing that everyone needs to the part of self-care that also is incredibly important is, even though I hate taking a compliment some days and I don't want to hear it, is to have a set of people who know, like I said, airbag you. I'm always honest about how I'm feeling. I say that I'm spiraling, and they will make an attempt to check up on me and be aware that I need to work through it. And I'm not asking for advice or help. I'm just asking them to be there for me and support me through whatever I'm going through, which is who I am. And I thank those people quite frequently for allowing me to be me. And I think allowing people to be me should be celebrated more. And I think it's why we have a mental health issue and why people spiral, is because they don't feel comfortable being themselves, or got lost thinking they were trying to be themselves, but didn't really work on what really makes them happy. For an example, I'm a nurturer. Since I became an independent consultant, I'm not around people all day, and I'm trying to find a way to put that back into my life in a safe way so that I don't get overrun or spiraling on them and forget about myself again. So it's being conscious in the moment. I think in mindfulness, they say it all the time, like, be in the moment, be in the moment. And everyone's like, oh, that sounds silly. Guys, I listened to Richard Branson yesterday on a podcast. We revere these people, but we never take their advice. And so I'm going to lead into what we did yesterday. Why don't we take my own advice? We don't even take advice of the people that we actually want to be. Yet we wonder why we spiral and are not in the best space. They're actually telling us exactly what to do and how to create the day and how to be productive. And they're saying, be fearless. Like, we're not saying that you have to understand that, but failures teach you more, or don't worry about the no, or spend the morning to yourself before the day starts at work. Get away from your blue screen. LeBron James does an amazing, if you haven't noticed, I'm a huge fan. I bought it, the Lifeline subscription, ages ago. I was super excited when I got to 1,000 sessions. But I'm going to say this out loud. LeBron James has something, a comment on Calm a couple different series about sleep and how to keep himself in the motion and keeping up with all the things that go on him. And it's not about the sports of it. It is the mental health of it, or how to stay mentally strong and how to, knock out that core. And he believes sleep is everything. And I do too. And I'm going to say this out loud. When I do not sleep, the spiraling gets even more aggressive. So my advice, stop the spiral, because I'm in it and I want to give out information. If, more than I want to take, I want to give out information, not more than I can take, but I want to hear about it, because I think that this is not going away anytime soon. Societally, it has drove us to create some really horrible spaces in what I call real life, like with each other, as a nation, as a society, as a government, as a world. And I think to help with that mental health, we have to be more honest and open in an open conversation about, why is it hard? What's causing that fear? Why do I spiral? Why can't I break myself from that spiral? So as today, I'm trying to break my spiral. I'm trying to nurture some other people with the knowledge and journaling I've been doing over the last 5 years on what works, what doesn't, and how to get to that. Because your emotions are always going to be there. It's not like you get one and done. It's not very black and white. It's not like today it's finished and tomorrow it's any easier. It's just keeping the forward motion to find what you love that will keep you in a better balance. So I'm working through that today, another day. And even doing this podcast is, I'm sure, one of the ways that my brain is fighting me, and one of the reasons we're spiraling. But that's okay, because that's human nature. That's what makes us human. And you can't avoid the hurt. I think people try to do that. I think I tried to do that. And to really care and be human and live in the moment and be in this world, you're going to get hurt. It's just the inevitable process of it. And it's okay. But you have to know how to navigate it in a safe space for yourself, for your family, for your pack, for your group, for work, for life, so that you're not repeating the same pattern behaviors. Because breaking a habit takes 21 days or longer. It's easier to create a new one. It's 21 days, but to break it is even harder, because we regress back to the thing that makes us feel great, or we think made us feel great. And so we'll revert back to that bad behavior easily before convincing ourselves of a new one. So with that, make a new behavior. Don't listen to a bad one. Be weirdly unique. Have a great day.